It's almost 2 months since the strict regulation at the land borders in Nigeria, and now the Nigeria Customs Service says all goods for now are banned from being exported or imported through our land borders. Well, that's to ensure that we have total control over what comes in. And already the Customs says its revenue has risen above 5 billion naira daily as a result of this strict regulation.
33 illegal migrants have been arrested, 59 bags of NPK fertilizers. You know, these are things that are being used for these improvised explosives all around. And then over 3,000 bags of rice, petroleum, and other items have been arrested across the 4 sectors of the ongoing security exercise.
While smuggling is top on the mind of the Joint Task Force made up of the Customs, Immigration, Armed Forces and the police, as well as operatives from the State Security Service who are carrying out the exercise at the borders, security experts have asked that the discussion should also include threats to safety of the nation by covering the over 1,400 illegal routes into and out of the country.
Nearly every truck, I mean this truck which they push carrying rice or beans or whatever grains, passing from outside countries from your neighboring countries into Nigeria, nearly every bag is either carrying a pistol or is carrying an AK-47.
Let's talk about border security on this episode of Big Story. I'm JOHN-MEKWA. Nigeria shares borders with Republic of Benin to the west, Cameroon and Chad in the east, and Niger in the north. In many communities in the border areas, there are little or no demarcation between Nigeria and the other countries. This has over the years allowed unchecked movement, especially at various footpaths. The challenge of safeguarding Nigeria's borders is one which seems to be in defiance of the efforts of authorities charged with the task. It is therefore no wonder that illegal movement into and even out of the country persists. It's even believed to be a major cause of insecurity issues such as Boko Haram insurgency. And many of the footpaths remain unmanned.
From the northeast axis alone, you have 1,571 footpaths leading from your country to the Maghreb. That's the Maghreb region, not Africa. I repeat, 1,571 footpaths unmanned. By now, we should have in place what I call an elite military protective border force, reminiscent of the border patrols you have in the US and some other countries. Okay? Such an organization should be independent of any of the military organizations on ground. They are not part of the Army, the Air Force, or the Navy, but they liaise with the entire intelligence community at the borders. That is to say, they liaise with the custom, the immigrations, if the military is operating around that axis, and so on, of course, there must be proper liaison. If you work at the borders, with my experience on ground, having worked at the borders, nearly every truck, I mean this truck which they push carrying rice or beans or whatever grains, passing from outside countries from your neighboring countries into Nigeria, nearly every bag is either carrying a pistol or is carrying an AK-47. Nearly every. And I know what I'm talking about. Now, why am I saying they should be technically driven? They should have enough equipment so that when they are manning all those footpaths, as you advance with your truck, an equipment on them, a sensor on them, will be giving them the message, either by tickling, ta-ta, ta-ta, and the closer you come, the louder, ta-ta, ta-ta. So the man cannot miss you. He stops here and tells you, open that. Or they convey you to a search point. And you open it and they bring out the metal in it. The metal will end up being a pistol or an AK-47. In most cases, it has been, yes, dismantled, These are the things. This country has to speak, going by a UN report, as of 2005. Nigeria is playing host to about 300 million small arms weapons. Globally, we have 900 million small arms weapons in circulation, illicit arms. West Africa region commands 500. Out of that 500 in West Africa, Nigeria has 300.
300 illegal arms in circulation in the country is certainly a cause for concern. This has been linked to not just kidnapping and banditry, but also the clash between farmers and herders. Many suspects have been reported to be non-Nigerians and armed. This perception is supported by seizures, so that they won by customs of over 200,000 ammunition in 2018.
We have 4,070 kilometers of land border. And there's no way you can, if we combine the two border securities, immigration and custom, if we stretch our hands, holding our hands, there's no way we can cover 4,070 kilometers. We do not have adequate surveillance in place yet. And therefore, the best thing is to ensure that we take the steps that will bring our neighbors to understand why what we're doing and the necessity for what we're doing. Enhancing security, we have, and we'll continue to do it. And I'm sure between myself and my colleague from the immigration, we're deploying every technology available to us to make sure that we protect our borders. But at a certain point, we have to take certain drastic action in order to send the message to not only our own people who are smugglers, but to also our neighbors, that we must protect our economy, we must protect the security of our people, and ensure the well-being of our people. How long will the closure be? For as long as it will take our neighbors to come to the table, sit down, and agree to execute exactly what was agreed upon during the Obasanjo time. Simple adherence to transit procedure. That has not happened. That is the ultimate desired goal of this operation.
And then there's the common commodity rice, which has been seized in many reported incidents. In fact, Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria say that from January till date, over 1 million metric tons of rice were brought into the country through Benin Republic, mostly made in Thailand and India.
There are different brands of rice that is being brought into the country illegally. They found their way into Kano through unapproved routes. They gathered them here, but based on the information we discovered, we raided this warehouse. As you can see, the place is an abandoned place, but we'll dig deep and find out the owners. The next line of action is we are going to evacuate this rice to government warehouse.
All these have gotten the federal government thinking, and the result of the thought is that the Federal Executive Council approved 52 billion naira for electronic monitoring of porous borders in Nigeria. Also, there's a special joint security task force comprising of the Immigration Service, Customs, Intelligence and Police. The exercise is codenamed X-Swift Response and intended to last for 28 days, all things being equal. It affects activities in the country's borders with neighboring communities, especially in Republic of Benin, Cameroon, Niger and Chad. Many have described the exercise as closure, but a task force argues against this notion.
Closure is not the right word to describe what is happening. There is indeed intensive patrol of the borderlines by joint security forces. The fact that managers of national security have thought it wise to pull this various agencies together to conduct the ongoing security exercise tells you the amount of concern that is attached to these challenges. Beyond the physical patrol and all that, there are intensified efforts to acquire and install non-intrusive equipment to better police our borders, and I'm sure every action that needs to be taken to secure the national interest will be taken. A lot of achievements have already been recorded. For instance, I'll have you know that 33 illegal migrants have been arrested, 59 bags of NPK fertilizers. You know, these are things that are being used for these improvised explosives all around. And then over 3,000 bags of rice, petroleum, and other items have been arrested across the 4 sectors of the ongoing security exercise.
However, this explanation still remains unclear to some members of the business community. And according to the president of Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Babatunde, there was a notice, but even the notice seemed conflicting.
There's no clarity in what is happening, but what we know is that there is no movement and there are conflicting statements even from the regulatory authorities. There is talk of drill, we talk of regulation, we talk of what exactly it is, but we have heard that the actual purpose or the actual reason for the closure was to forbid or to prevent the importation of rice, which is a contraband, through the borders. That's what we have heard, and that's what we stand by. But there are a lot of conflicting statements. I know people who wanted to come in to Nigeria over the weekend, last week. They couldn't come in. They said there was this opening within 6 in the morning and 6 in the evening. So nothing is very clear about it. But the important thing is that life is not as usual as it is in the borders. Now, if somebody is saying regulation, what should we have been doing in the past? Have we been allowing illegality to go on at our borders? So, I mean, we should ask that question. Are we saying that we have regulation, but our borders is allowed to run unregulated?
Before this operation, due to the nature of the contiguous borders we have, people enter and leave Nigeria through any port. And I'm glad to say that this operation has enhanced this entry and exit of persons. Similarly, the law is very clear. Do not enter except you have a travel document. For ECOWAS, the travel document is not necessarily a passport. It can be ECOWAS travel certificate or a card, which means that any person, whether a Nigerian or a non-Nigerian, cannot enter or leave Nigeria without a travel document. This operation has enhanced that. So we are very glad to state that this operation approved by Mr. President is enhancing the implementation of ECOWAS protocol. We have refused, the CGC mentioned 142 people. Our national, we have refused to depart. If you don't have travel document, we cannot allow you to leave Nigeria. So we return them back. But we have refused entry of 1,111 people who want to enter our territory, but because they don't have a travel document, we just turn them back. You must enter through the recognized port and with the correct travel document. We have removed people who have already entered. 728 people have been removed, which is a great issue. But among the people who we have arrested people who are not even members of the ECOWAS. If you don't have travel document, we cannot allow you to leave Nigeria. So we return them back. But we have refused entry of 1,111 people who want to enter our territory, but because they don't have a travel document, we just turn them back. You must enter through the recognized port and with the correct travel document. We have removed people who have already entered. 728 people have been removed, which is a great issue. But among the people who we have arrested people who are not even members of the ECOWAS at the border. We have arrested Pakistanis. We have arrested North Koreans at the borders. And those people are supposed to be deported.
The coastal town of Badagry in Lagos, southwest Nigeria, is the border between Nigeria and the Republic of Benin at Seme. This route is one of the busiest borders in the country, and this regulation has very direct consequences on business in the area.
The economy of Badagry is a strictly mobile one. Importation through SEME from, well, those are transit goods that come in from Benin, whichever country of origin they may come from, they pass through here in articulated vehicles, not most of the time, not in containers. So in a way, goods and services and those who manage them use hotels in Badagry. But in the last 2-3 years, one, government stopped the importation of vehicles through the border posts. That, in a way, affected the activities of people, and the hotels that are in Badagry became a major casualty.
Outside Nigeria, neighboring countries have also complained of the economic woes of the strict regulation of the borders. Recently, Ghana had pleaded for consideration as they pointed out that Nigerian products are still allowed into their country.
Yes, Niger has taken a step to ban the exportation of rice to Nigeria in any form. We are yet to get similar response from other neighbors. Last week we had a meeting here with my counterpart, the DG of Customs of Benin Republic. We went over all the protocol requirements, our prohibition list, and we left them with the message that they should go and discuss with their head of state or president and get back with us on their willingness to adhere to those protocols. We are yet to receive the response from them.
We are members of another citizenship. We are also citizens of ECOWAS. But as far as human mobility is concerned, the rule is what is being implemented today. I can say this operation approved by Mr. President enhances ECOWAS protocol. Many people would like to ask us, what about ECOWAS protocol? ECOWAS protocol says very clearly, do not enter each other's country except you comply with many conditions. One, you must enter through a recognized port of entry. And recognized port of entry is a place where government has designated as a border control post, where there is immigration and custom. That's a simple translation. A point of entry into a country is a place where it has been defined there is an immigration and custom. So as far as immigration is concerned, whether you are a member of ECOWAS or you are a member of European Union or Schengen state, you must enter our territory through a recognized port of entry.
One major contraband on land borders and the motivation for the strict regulation at the borders is rice. According to the World Markets and Trade Report of the United States Department of Agriculture, Nigeria imported 3 million metric tons of rice in 2018, which is 400,000 metric tons more than the quantity of the product imported in 2017. The Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria has placed the annual rice production in the country at 5.8 million metric tons in 2017, while demand hovers around 7.3 million tons. Perhaps bridging the demand gap has made it almost impossible to stop importation, and needless to say, the strict regulation at the borders have a direct impact on rice production.
I want to say it's a very good move. It's a giant stride on the part of the government. It has greatly increased the consumption of local rice, because most people, now that they can't bring in imported rice, they are forced to take to local rice, and already it has affected the price of local rice too. Although I'm always the advocate of getting local rice even cheaper than, possibly cheaper than imported rice, because once we're able to do that, people will have no reasons to be eating imported rice. Some of these rice are no longer nutritious because they have been stored over the years before they are brought into Nigeria. But this is freshly produced rice, most time unpolished, all the nutrients intact. And people, because of they say it's local rice, it has stones, they will avoid it. But these days, there are stoneless local rice. They've been trying, I must confess, through the Anchor Borrower scheme, but they can do more. They can empower the rice farmers. They can group us and plant in large hectares. There was one time like that, one person from one German came to visit my dad then, and when my dad was saying that he has 50 hectares of rice, the German just laughed and said, fine, that's cool, you are doing good, but I have about 586 hectares of land being managed by my wife, and they use chopper to scare bed. So if we can do a large trade like that, we will reduce cost, we'll get more tons of rice out, and everybody will be happy. Even Nigerians will be happy because there will be rice. Rice is the #1 consumed grain in Nigeria. There are a lot of challenges, especially in our home part of the society, Southwest. First, the bird scaring is a very big challenge that is consuming the time and probably chasing a lot of farmers away from practicing rice. Because it's a lot of things. For about 30 days, you'll be scaring birds day and night. Early in the morning, as early as 6 a.m., you have to be there, and you will leave by 6 p.m. But recently, myself and my team, we've been working on a machine that scares birds. And we've tested it on some farm, and it's been very effective, and it scares bird. It has about 80 different sounds that auto-rotate itself, and it works perfectly well. We are the one that patents it directly, and they brought it in. So that's the only one, but we're about promoting it because we've met with some government parastatals they've gone through it and they've tested it. So probably to ease the stress of farmers, because that's the major one that, in fact, it takes about a larger percentage of the cost of producing rice. Attitude, well, for now, maybe because their perception about local rice before now is that local rice is always have stones, so they are kind of scared in eating local rice, but we have advanced. So the perception has to change, and that's why we have to do a reorientation, because we need to start eating what we produce so as to ensure that we spend less on foreign these things or foreign exchange, and promote our own local rice and local farmers too.
The motivation for the strict regulation at the borders also has a lot to do with the level of insecurity in the country, with some of the suspects hinted to be foreigners who have entered the country illegally. Consequently, the Immigration Service recently insisted that all intending international travelers, including citizens of Nigeria arriving or leaving the country, must pass through a recognized point of entry or exit and must submit themselves to immigration officers for clearance.
Mr. President has approved technology for border patrol for us, but we need to patrol the borders physically with our strength. So we have built capacity now. All these officers, they will be deployed to the border. What is new is that we are going to work together with ECOWAS countries, which is even not in our close border. In June 2017, Nigeria hosted head of all immigration in the sub-region in ECOWAS. During that time, we have discussed the need of collaboration and working together and having an academy where we can train one another. Based on that, we are establishing an academy in Tuga. This academy is going to be in English and French. And as you are aware, Nigeria is surrounded by Francophone-speaking countries, but we are not interested in speaking French at all. So that academy will enhance our cooperation, will develop the capacity of our officers to speak French, and also issue certificate. Many form of certificate, especially a certificate that is based on degree-based certificate. So I assure you it will enhance regional integration in West Africa. It will strengthen our capacity to do border patrol, to manage migration better.
Training and empowering the personnel to man the borders, and also giving attention to issues such as infrastructure and equipment for farmers so they can meet up with the demands of the people, will most certainly make the strict regulation at the borders a success in the long run. That's our story. Thank you for watching. I'm John-MEKWA.